Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another live stream. It is Friday, October 6th, and with the new Monday, Wednesday, and Friday streaming setup, and with YouTube being very random about whether it announces things, we are here. Those two things are not related at all. I don't know why I put an and there, other than to just show that's what I'm thinking about. The Monday, Friday, Wednesday setup issue, though, is this. We've got to get all three of these daily quests done today so I can not have to play any at all on Saturday and Sunday, because I wouldn't be streaming any of that anyways, because it seems pretty consistent that weekend streaming works even worse than Friday streaming. So every Friday is going to be the long time, and every Friday I guess is kind of the wrong time too. I think we've already done the Tavern Brawl, so we don't have to worry about that. So 3 games in a class, Druid or Rogue. Okay, so let's just play some ranked Rogue. If anybody wants to play me, and particularly if anybody wants to let me win, that would be great. But otherwise, I think we're good. There is a decent amount of news that has built up from the week, so we can cover some of that. The only real question here is, are we gonna get anybody in the chat or anybody that can stretch out the game? Really, chat is just the lifeline of live streaming. I should also say I accidentally deleted last live stream, so if you're trying to watch that, apologies. I don't know why you would. At this point, I did it yesterday on accident when I was trying to delete something else, and there's no recycling bin or undo button on YouTube's video manager, which seems ridiculous. Wow, okay, quick victories, good. So I have the original recordings, and I'll break that up, and that'll be some video that comes out 3 months from now. But until then, people are just gonna have to wait. I guess we continue playing. We have a new guy in the chat called Jogi who put a emoji, smiley face, kissy face with a heart. Interesting. Jogi, that's not how you pronounce that. Jogge. It's probably Yog, if I was to guess. Hello, Yog, if that's how you pronounce your name. Discord has a new video chat and screen sharing functions, which I suppose is moving Discord to be a lot more useful and make a lot more sense for end users. There's still, like, adding video chat and adding screen sharing doesn't do anything for a YouTuber, and that's kind of the weird thing, is that an app like this kind of needs to get YouTubers to support it and use it a lot and promote it, and yet it's not offering anything yet that wouldn't hurt them also as far as getting views on YouTube or Twitch if you're a Twitch streamer. So no professional YouTuber or Twitch streamer that's trying to make ad revenue through making content on those services is going to lose that ad revenue by screen sharing what he's doing, and video chatting will maybe work for a little, like a really tiny amount of streamers, but if you video chat with your fans, you're really going to create a huge mess. Let's see. But for the end user, of course, video sharing and screen sharing makes more sense. I wish they upgrade the system, the menus to like a simple mode, because I'm thinking of like old grandparents trying to talk to their great grandkids, and if they want to compete with Skype, that's really where it's going to come down to, is can this let's see, can I do this instead? And kill that guy, I guess. Yeah, so non-technical, technology-minded people would have a lot of trouble using Discord. As for my own personal trying to learn and understand and see if I can use Discord, there's just still no integration in it. Like, nothing that
this guy's toast.
Let's see. I guess I should have killed this guy.
Here we go.
There we go. Moving on to the next story. I'll continue to try to learn Discord. Inside every Xbox One X is a sketched picture of a tiny Master Chief with riding a scorpion, because it was called Project Scorpion. Not really a story worth saying anything. That's pretty typical. I'm surprised that in the world of making things in bulk, they don't disallow things like that, but it probably is all laser etched anyway, so it's probably an insignificant and useful way to prove that your product is genuine and not a knockoff, by putting an intricate picture that shows that this was actually made in their factories and not some knockoff factory. Or maybe they just don't care. Moving on to a more video game related story. We're going through them pretty quickly. Microsoft has backtracked a little bit, from what I hear, on the controversial changes to the Forza 7 VIP pass. I'm still not sure that, just on the face of it, with so many cars and a clunky interface, from what I saw, that an average racing game player would like it. I feel like I'm probably in the wrong on that. It is very possible that people absolutely do want to be able to have hundreds and hundreds of different cars, but as somebody who just wants a limited selection of good cars, and then to just move on with his life. Forza 7 seems too complicated for me. The thing that, as I'm reading this article, just to make sure that I'm saying the right thing, the thing that they did different is now they're just making The studio will give Forza 7 VIP 4 additional cars along with 1 million credits. What's more, the VIP system will now work exactly as it did in Forza Motorsport 6, offering 2x base credit bonus for after each race. So instead of some upgrade that only worked for a brief amount of time, and then that it was a consumable, otherwise, just I guess just make damage here, and then end the turn. So they went too far, basically, and they went back to the way it worked in Forza 6. That being said, the VIP system still is kind of this premium extra DLC that is hurting the game. So we're effectively only slightly fixing a system that was broken probably many games ago. Who knows how many? Maybe it was as far back as a Forza 3 that you could just, in a realistic amount of time, unlock all the cars without having to be in the VIP system to get double the cash to unlock more of the cars. It seems like Forza is pretty consistently full of way too many cars. Compare that to Dirt 3 or Dirt Showdown, where there's not that many cars, but it's still plenty of them. At a certain point, there's a split in my mind, at least. There are games where cars actually mean something. They have better steering speed, top speed, acceleration, better handling, lower weight to the front or back of the car, depending on what your driving engine is. There are cars that actually feel different when you drive them. And then there are games where they all drive just about the same, or it's hard to even tell if any of them drive different, because there's so many of them. Go look out the Giant Bomb quick look of Forza 7. It is just this huge menu of cars, and as a person who doesn't really have an infatuation with cars, they all just kind of look like cars to me. I have no interest in any of them. I would just see if I could find the stats, or maybe even go to a cheat page and say which one of these is the best for me, and then try to get it. On top of that, Forza 7 has a tier system that even if you're in the VIP system, doesn't fully unlock. You don't get fully unlocked out of that. So you start, if you're a VIP, at tier 3. If you start a regular game, you're at tier 1. You have to buy multiple cars at tier 1 before you can buy tier 2. I believe you have to drive quite a few of the cars for quite a while before you can even go to tier 2, and that goes all the way up to tier 5.
Everyone panic!
And so, oops, I should have probably killed that guy. I have been interested in playing racing games though, because I've managed in this year to play Dirt 3 and Dirt Showdown. 2 games no longer available. So maybe next year, if I can get it cheap, I'll play Dirt 4. Dirt probably isn't the best series for me, but I don't know what really is. So, I guess I am in a little bit of a quandary there. Let's do this, and then this. Moving on to the next story, Epic confirms thousands of Fortnite Battle Royale cheaters have been banned. The studio also says it's cracking down on cheating. Cracking down on cheating is its highest priority. So that tells you, I guess, 2 very easy things to realize. Is one, it was very easy to cheat, in Fortnite, and 2, it was very easy to get caught cheating in Fortnite. Let's see. We do this, and then this,
Here we
and
go.
then this,
Hey,
and then that. I was hearing, and I guess I can only really put this in the rumor column because I don't think there's an actual story that I could point you to back this up, but I was hearing that instead of what Bluehole PUBG creators were afraid of, I imagine, of a lot of people leaving PUBG and going on to play Fortnite Battle Royale, it seems actually that just the same people that were playing PUBG also were playing Fortnite Battle Royale. Now that's probably
lights out.
not gonna last.
We go.
Almost certainly eventually there will be a burnout, or there will be yet another Battle Royale style game that comes out, and eventually the low man on the totem pole will get knocked out out of the cycle of the number of games there. That's a very different response than what happened to, say, Battleborn and Overwatch.
The light protects me.
I imagine that's probably because Battleborn wasn't just a pure Overwatch clone. It had this evolution system. It had some problems. Arguably, it might have even suffered from just people not liking
I usually work alone.
not liking Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox Studios. Probably some bad advertisement and bad push too. Definitely some bad release timing. Moving on to the next story. Ubisoft is going to repurchase 4 million shares as it continues to fight against a hostile takeover from Vivendi. And man, I kind of wish that story would just end. We have Darian in the chat saying hello, just stopping in to say hi real quick. Hi, Darian. Yeah, I've said it before, I don't think it improves or helps anything if Vivendi were to take over Ubisoft. Ubisoft is garbage, but Vivendi's even worse. And perhaps the real savior for Ubisoft is if they were bought out by their own by a different company, or they just went fully private, which I guess in the end that might solve a lot of things. If Ubisoft went fully private and wasn't always focused on shareholders and making profit every quarter, then they could reevaluate how their entire company is run, and instead of giving us sequel to Assassin's Creed games every year so they have that annual income, they could take a step back and say, what's the level of quality we want to do, and maybe they could actually involve the actual creators of the games in that. Let's see.
I usually work alone. No time.
Refresh your hero power.
Here we go.
Job done.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I wonder if you could actually force a company into going private. No, because if a company wants to be public, they will do everything else in their ability to stay public. And I don't know if you can easily go from public to private. As far as a company, I don't know what you would have to do. Would you have to buy back all the shares from all of the investors? at a market price. Like, I don't know if it's even possible. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Ideally, I'd want all companies to go private. I've gotten into the economics rant there, where the idea of a stock market just takes the purpose of a business existing from making a product and service into making money by scam or scheme to pay rich investors. So let's see. Double Fine is showing off Psychonauts 2 first playable milestone level, so they're slowly making progress here. Let's watch this video. It's looking good at the face of it. They've really got to do a good job on Psychonauts 2, because if they screw this up, Double Fines doesn't really have anything else to lean on. They're not gonna come back and make a Brutal Legend remake and catch people's attention. They're not gonna be able to remake things like Full Throttle again, or Monkey Island games or anything like that. So this is the last of the nostalgia that they've been living off of, and it's kind of their only original game that's been on the table for them to create in, I would imagine, at least half a decade. That being said, this looks fine. This is a 14-minute video. It's an old school 3D platformer. Maybe there's collectibles, something. I imagine. If you're not familiar with the concept of Psychonauts, you're this psychic kid that you can go into the mind of other people, and when you go into the mind of other people, you go into these weird, crazy worlds, and you're trying to fight an enemy of sorts. So right now they're showing off a goat. I'll say that this animation style is not 100% the best looking graphics ever. It's a low polygon cartoony art style, so they're not going for a real world 3D appearance, but that's in line with Psychonauts 1, so you wouldn't expect that. Apparently Nightbot's broken. I had to sign out, so I wouldn't be surprised if Nightbot doesn't even work. I'll have to deal with that later. Let's see.
Here we go.
This, and then this, and this, and that. Still watching this video. This video is really long, and they're selling this video as the first playable level, but the vast majority of the video is people talking and very low footage. I would argue that Psychonauts 2 is taking longer than it should. This is slightly the problem when the story has been coming up more and more lately, of the problem of announcing games really early and letting people in on the development. It causes you to have the end user to have way too much information and not get hyped at the right times. It's just bad marketing, honestly. Video game creators particularly, and old video game, well, some video game reporters too, are working really hard to push this idea that video game players are any more toxic than any other community, which is ridiculous. It's just the same. Wrestling fans are pretty bad. Video game fans are pretty bad. Record snobs are pretty bad. I mean, like, it's comic book fans. It's everybody. Like, all of it. That's just fandom. That's always been what fandom was. You always have a percentage of that. And while Jim Sterling's new series of Commentary, whatever it's called, where he dresses up as like a French aristocrat and reads comments off of the internet that I assume are real. That too is a very sneaky Trojan horse way of pushing this idea that video game players are toxic and that everybody's got a problem and everybody needs to police themselves and others in their speech. And it's like, come on, everybody's here just to play games. You're making this way too much of an issue. But to get back to what I was saying, so video game developers are saying it's scary, it's not the right idea, I can't talk to anybody about my ideas or what I'm doing on my game because people criticize it, because people are mean about it. They will mislabel criticism as harassment, and because there's no real nice way to do it. They're a bunch of snowflakes. They're wimps. They're literally people who spend most of their lives programming and in front of computers, and they just don't know how to deal with conflict or people. But that's fine. Programmers shouldn't be talking about or promoting their games anyways. Even if you're an indie developer, you should have somebody in charge of marketing. And the people in charge of marketing should know what they should be doing, and they should be handling the message and putting out all the comments. So I think what eventually they're going to have to all realize is you can have a private Twitter set to private. You can have a private Facebook. But if you're a programmer, if you're anybody in the industry that is not specifically trained to control the marketing message for selling this game, then you need to not put out any public information. It needs to be a tight ship. Like, loose lips sink ships is the old Navy saying, and that's exactly what we need here. Is everybody needs to realize in the video game industry, don't say anything unless marketing has been over it, unless you've had 5 different meetings, unless you've spent 5 hours saying, I want to put out this 140 character tweet and let's look over every single word. Let's think about every single thought. Let's see what the backlash might be. Let's have responses written for any backlash. And clearly that's not even what happens in giant companies like the WB. Like, it goes right down to one of their players, one of their developers dying of cancer, and them trying to sell DLC, and then them taking some of the profits from that DLC and giving only some of the profits from some of the United States to the family. And it's like, clearly there was not enough thought put into that. There was not enough planning. There was not enough, just in general, marketing people and PR people, public relations people, in that room when that idea came about. That was clearly an idea either from genuinely kind-hearted programmers who didn't think it through, or genuinely greedy CEOs who have no connection to normal people anymore, so all they see is money signs when they look at people. There was clearly nobody in public relations worth a lick in those conversations. So maybe that'll be my only rant for this weekend. So let's move on to the next. Let's see. The game, The Flame and the Flood, is coming to the Switch next week, October 12th. Let's see. I want to look at the trailer of The Flame and the Flood. I think I kind of wanted to play it. I think it also, though, is just one of those games where, yeah, I remember this game. It's simply just a game where it had, I don't think, a story per se, because it was this kind of roguelike. You're going down this this river, not particularly because of, well, I don't even know why you were going down the river now that I try to remember it. Let's see.
Here we go.
This. You have this dog with you. You do things. You're being chased by wolves, I believe. You fight. But I think it's a repetitive thing where the river is just slightly different. It's kind of snapped together. Let's see. I think the problem, though, is there's just no story there. So I will want to play The Flame and the Flood some point, but I have no real motivation to play it now. I just watched the advertisement. I just watched the trailer, and it's a lot like so many other games, so many other survival games that are out there. Let's do this and this.
Here we go.
Do that. Moving on to the next story, Warframe's big open world expansion is out next week. And what Warframe is a free-to-play shooter that's actually very good. Who is saying this before I go any further? You're a gamer. Okay, not. None of them are really that trustworthy. Like, this very easily sounds like an advertisement hidden as an article. Free-to-play shooter. Who cares, really? Like, just on the face of it, Warframe could be the best game in the world. It doesn't matter one bit because it's free to play, and free to play things aren't worth my time as a critic, as somebody who's reviewing games, at least partially because it's I'm trying to see if they're worth buying for my audience. Let's see. Yeah. Free to play has some problems as far as getting coverage as far as my channel goes, and like, honestly, I've been lucky enough to be in a position where that doesn't even really affect, like, whether it wouldn't really affect my channel. Like, I have so many games on Steam that I haven't played, even though I went through probably 30 of the games that I got for free for November. There's so many more. Like, I am perfectly fine to probably never in my entire career play a free-to-play game. And I think that's closest to most PC gamers after about a year, like, being on Steam. One Steam summer sale probably gets you more than enough. Let's go ahead and kill this.
Here we go.
Battle.net has new social features in its mobile app. I think it probably also in the regular app, as far as the beta version of the regular app, is going to have a few more social features. However, that being said, I can't use Battle.net until it integrates into YouTube. None of these services are going to work at all unless they integrate into YouTube and people chat in YouTube and Battle.net. Unless the messages just get copied and pasted over. It does not matter. So that'll be helpful for people who only play Battle.net games, which is, like, how many people is that? People just playing StarCraft in Korea, and people just playing World of Warcraft, I suppose. But as far as a YouTuber, it doesn't help me one bit. Here's a game I haven't heard of called A Hat in Time, being reviewed by Eurogamer. It's probably not even for PC.
Calm down, I'm a doctor.
Probably should have held on to that one. Let's do that in return. My shoulder still hurts from
The menagerie is for guests.
from whatever I did to pull it. It says it's a PC 3D platformer. Somewhat like Ukulele, which that's not good comparison at all because Ukulele kind of sucked. But I think I will want to look up this game and put it in my Steam library. But who knows if this game is even new. Like, I guess at the end of the day, I am fine to cover old games if somebody else is pushing or advertising or recommending to play an old game. I'm probably fine to mention that. Sometimes previously I've skipped over this and just said, well, that's not a new game, so it's not really news, and it really isn't news. But if by holding to such a strict standard, I'm eliminating things to talk about.
Warriors of the frozen wastes, rise.
Let's see. Looking at this game called Trackless now. It's a game where... Is this the game that is a text adventure that they put a 3D environment around it? Shoes of a member of a cult, worshippers of a strange enigmatic monolithic object. Assisted by your AI pal. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work at all. Assisted by your AI pal, you'll need to uncover the secret of the monolith while climbing the ranks of the cult. Did I see any of that in that trailer? Says the game, throughout the game you'll be guided by the game's textual feedback system that gives you prompts to use certain verbs to overcome various puzzles and challenges. I think this is the game.
This guy's
So is it the idea that you find verbs and then when you find the verbs they let you. This trailer is awful, and it's an itch.io game. Let's just go over to its Steam page. See if something, like the graphics on top of it in that trailer were simply covering up the real game graphics and making it worse. There's 5 user reviews right now, and none of them are being shown. We have one review. The very first review is the creator of the game.
This is our town, scrub.
And let's see. All the rest of the reviews seem to be good reviews. Let's see. There's literally no negative reviews of the 5. Of the, well, it says 21 reviews. I see 21 here. So this game is available for purchase right now, but nobody has bothered to do it. And the release date says it was September 12th. Wow. That is ridiculously a long time ago. This is one of the games that was funded by Fig. So I don't know, like I need to get some real reviews from some real people before I would bother to play this game, but there is something weird there that has caught my attention, but it might be all hype. It might very easily just be unimportant advertisement. This guy is gonna just let me go on forever in this game, which is fine. I'll just play the cards that I needed to play. TT Games announced the Lego Ninjago video game, or apparently announced is the wrong term. They made it and released it without me knowing anything about it. However, playing the TT Games Lego game series is still not gonna work on my PC, so I'm not going to play that. Not that I particularly have any interest in playing the Ninjago series. I know nothing about the Ninjago Lego series per se. There is some excellent news potentially, according to Game Sutra. Telltale Games, a different company from TT Games, is hiring a engine programmer, and that is amazingly good news because that implies that they are going to work on maybe replace their engine, which is garbage. Let's see, read the full list in here for the job. Telltale's core engineering group is responsible for developing low-level and mid-level libraries and tools used by Telltale's multi-platform downloadable game development system, the Telltale Tool, which the Telltale Tool is garbage, and that's what needs to be replaced. The Telltale Tool artists and designers and Lua programmers. Lua is a programming language, not particularly one I think used greatly by video game programmers.
Here we go.
To create tons of amazing content for tons. You're pushing it there, Telltale, for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii, iOS, PC, Mac, and Android. Interesting. No Xbox One X or PlayStation 4 Pro. The core engineering group creates true author once run anywhere technology, and that is certainly part of what. So your responsibilities would be, if you were this engine programmer, contribute to bringing the Telltale technology to new challenging platforms, Xbox One, PS4, mobile, and TV. Improve, they should underline that, and debug and extend existing platform technologies while building new features in order to meet the needs of the console, desktop, and high-end mobile devices. So let's create clean APIs for internal tools and editors to supporting and cutting edge game technology and lighting. A lot of this is just fluff. What you're really going to be asked to do could be anything in any job, so like any job listing, it's mostly garbage. Create robust, long-lived, content agnostic systems with abstraction layers that enable maximum cross-platform feature fidelity. Basically, that means make this so it will work for a long time, so we can fire you when you're done, and you don't have to debug and support it forever. Keep abreast of the latest developments in hardware and software via developer support conferences and publications. Wow, that's an odd requirement for a job. Be informed about the type of job you're in, and don't just know old stuff. It's probably a good thing to say up front, is like, we want you to actually be interested and know about how your industry is changing. Contribute to the overall architecture and design of the technology plan of the company and any game titles. This is a big one here. A new engineer needs to come in and say, look, we can make a new Telltale tool and call it the Telltale tool, but it needs to almost be done from scratch. We can't really maintain and just fix what we've got, because that's not going to work. Analyze code performance and optimize appropriately for speed and memory usage. That is good too, because that is certainly things that are kind of lacking. Let's just keep killing things. The skills and experience needed for this job, if you're interested, is a Bachelor in Science degree in Computer Science or equivalent. 2 to 3 years of professional C++ STL experience is required. Interesting. You're going to be programming in Lua, but, well, you're going to be programming something for other people to program in Lua, but they want you to be a C++ STL experience. STL, I imagine, means standard libraries. But it might stand for something else. 1+ year of professional game development experience, including at least some development experience with current next-gen hardware. So you would have had to program at least one game, or for 1 year, for PS3, plus PS4, Xbox 360, or Xbox One.
You dare challenge the daughter of equity?
Experiencing, let's see, deep understanding of current hardware tools and focus with a keen focus on measurement and analysis to improve performance. So they clearly want to improve performance in Telltale games, which is they needed to do a long time. Remember, from what I've heard, the Telltale tool does not even have a physics engine. So if you wanted a ball to roll across the floor, in most things like Unreal Unity, you would just say, make this ball, give it real gravity, give it real physics, let it roll down the floor as it naturally would. This sometimes leads to some very funny glitches, but generally it works a lot easier than what you have to do in Telltale games, which is animate every single frame of a ball as if it was just an animated object. I'm about to lose just from fatigue. But I'm playing the cards, so I'm getting everything done. Solid foundation in 3D math algorithms and 3D modern computing fundamentals. So they probably do want a physics engine in it. And I guess if they just redid the put a physics engine in the current Telltale tool, you might have something like a Mode 7 in Super NES where there's just going to be this version of the Telltale tool, this mode of it, that will get used by all the developers, and all the old modes will just kind of be in there for backward compatibility. And that might be a way of them not getting rid of the old code while not really using it. Let's see, I think I need one more road victory. But also I need to wrap up this recording because we're going to go long. Self-directing and independent, work efficiently within an existing engine structure. Experience maintaining and debugging a large legacy code base developed by multiple programmers over many years. Yeah, that's the big issue though. So if you're up to the challenge of fixing the Telltale tool and helping Telltale actually be a better company, because they've got a lot of investments and done a lot of good games recently, but then they kind of need to do some different things. They need to improve. That job is out there, and it's, as the video game player, very interesting and exciting to see that listed, because it's a signal that they want to change. And we have Mahmoud on the chat saying hi Mahmoud. Well, stay tuned if you're watching live. That's it for this recording. Otherwise, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back for another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, October 6th, and because I am now streaming on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I need to get all the daily quests done. And who would have guessed? I've got all the daily quests done. I didn't really know that, so again, I'm gonna mess up and switch over to the European account. That works just fine for me. I'm going to probably need the weekends more than ever, because streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday means there's one more day. Oh man, 5 tavern brawls. I could use some help winning 5 tavern brawls. Certainly, because that's gonna be bad. Shame and otherwise, so we know what to do. Let's play. Let's see, was this the one I already talked about? No, there's a new game out today called A Hat in Time. I don't know anything about it though. It's got a lot of very positive views. It might be kind of like a Mario 3D World, Mario 64 style game. Yeah, it kind of looks like that, and I think that's where I picked it up and looked at it. So I'm looking for more games to replace Mario games and Nintendo games in general. And I think probably the entire PC playing world is in that same position. We are all frustrated with Nintendo for very good reasons, because Nintendo is doing awful things in general, whether it is intentional shortages for the NES Mini. The Super NES Mini seems to be out there enough this time, or whether it's just poor support and poor creation of, or lack of creation of a virtual console on the Switch, or just Nintendo copywriting and content IDing everything on YouTube, and telling its own fans who joined its horrible rip-off scheme that they can't live stream. Nintendo's actually been doing a lot of bad things in its entire career. The only difference is, I think, just in general, the video game players were too young to realize that. We were blinded by the fact that we loved the Nintendo games to realize that the company itself is shady and mean. So yeah, as far as a PC gamer now, that's what I am. I want games that basically rip off Mario games and Metroid games, and I would like to see it eventually get down to the point where we stop calling things Metroidvanias and instead we just call them Castlevania ripoffs, or there's a game out there that is a Metroidvania that becomes the more known and better known. Let's see. Let's do this and this. The other thing to think about on that is, like, Rogue Legacy is a roguelike, but already in my mind I compare any roguelikes to Rogue Legacy, not Rogue, which is a very old game, and I'd like to see that happen in all Nintendo games. So I've been describing games as 3D platformers, 3D platform collectathons, is a phrase I've heard, instead of saying it's a Mario 64 like, which I'm sure Mario 64 probably wasn't even the real one. But yeah, I'd like Nintendo to really just finish the breakup, as it were, with the video game community, and just disappear from memory at this point. For as much as I still probably love their games, if I could play Mario Odyssey when it comes out, or Zelda Breath of the Wild and cover it, I would, but it's just never going to happen. It's the same thing with the other companies too. It's like, I'd like Nintendo to fail and some other company to buy it out, preferably a non-Japanese company, but that'll never happen. But if there was somebody else in charge, not doing awful things to the consumer, inherently I think this is probably one of the arguments for things becoming public domain, and the idea and concept around the idea of, when you create something, it has to at least eventually, or at least theoretically, become a property of all of society and can't just be held by a single person or a single corporation and sold over and over again. This kind of comes from just like copies of the Bible. There are still versions of the Bible that are hundreds of years old, yet people have found little tricks and ways to continually claim they own a copyright on a book full of stories that have been told for at least 2,000 years. And that's not really right or helpful, because anybody who put ink to paper and wrote the original versions of the Bible are long dead. So anybody profiting from selling the Bible these days are profiting off the work of somebody else, and society is not profiting as much as it should. I think what we're going to have to get down to is very limited copyrights, very limited ownership of your creations. Somebody might write a book and sell it for as little as a year or two, and then it just comes into open domain. When you look at video games, particularly, they only kind of care about the first couple months of sales. If in the world video games became open domain and not copyrightable, after 6 months to a year of it being sold, that would probably not really affect the profits that much, honestly, because the video game companies already say they don't care about that at all. If anything, it would hurt GameStop, who's reselling games like that many years after the games have come out. And that would certainly be a different kind of world, but I think it's the world we're going to eventually get down to, because everybody is going to end up being an artist, and very few people are going to be able to afford the art, because robots will be taking all the real jobs. I think more than likely we might have to just adopt a living wage system, because it would be ridiculous to try have a government buy artist creations. That works in the small work, but we can't have a museum on every corner, or build a museum on every corner and have every painting hanging in some gallery. It would just be way too much construction.
Join or die.
It would be interesting, certainly, but it's not realistic. It's easier just to say everybody gets a living wage. You can create whatever art you want. You can give your art away to whoever you want. We don't care. And keep the government out of it. Well, that was one. Let's keep going. I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but the point is, the idea of copyright is built around the idea of you need to be paid for being an artist and creating something artistic instead of doing something utilitarian like farming. As that concept is, as we're running out of jobs that are utilitarian like farming, we've tried to replace them with other things, but they're not really doing that. There was a news story that after all the hurricanes, I had hoped that there would have been a massive amount of hiring to rebuild all the damage from Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma, but the jobs report just came out, and hiring lost 33,000 jobs. So anything that my hopes there were completely wrong, and maybe I should have seen that coming. Maybe I was just being naive. since the last big recession, almost all the jobs that have been created have been just temporary jobs. Like, that's an oversimplification, but there's not a lot of permanent jobs out there, and a temporary job is not worth very much at all. Because if you don't have stability, you're gonna get enough money to pay your bills and then try to save that much as possible. And if everybody's saving their money, which in the small run is the right move for each individual person, it's actually rather bad for an economy that's built around investing your money and building houses. Most of our of the United States economy is built around the concept of building houses and starting businesses, and those are the two things you won't do if you've got a temporary job. Red Phoenix is on the chat saying hi, I can't stay long. That's what I figured on Friday streams, is that if people even come in and say hi, that's probably that's a great thing. Like, I know Friday is not the day really to be covering Hearthstone, but there really is no good day on the weekend. Like, Friday doesn't work very well, Saturday doesn't work very well, Sunday doesn't work very well. You have to do you have to do it in one of those days to get the 3 daily quests done.
For the crusade! Join or die.
I'm not sure if this is really news, but the Evil Within system requirements out. Evil Within 2 system requirements. So this is probably a good experiment in just what a modern PC, what is required for modern PCs these days to play a new game. Let's play this. Do this. And then end the turn. So you need minimum for the Evil Within 2 Windows 7, 8.1 or 10 64-bit, an Intel Core i5 2400 or an AMD FX 8320 or better. Okay, so no i3 computers and
we must cleanse the Sunwell.
And no. No Pentium computers. 8 gigabytes of RAM and 40 gigabytes of free hard drive space. If you're just running an SSD, 40 gigabytes of hard drive space is starting to really like cut into, maybe if you have 128 gigabyte hard drive space, like that might be the one game or one of 2 games that you can have installed at a time. If you're just running a small 128 gigabyte SSD with no backup hard drive, which probably isn't too many people. And you need an NVIDIA GTX 660 or an AMD 7970 3 gigabit or better. So those are pretty low graphics for the minimum, but the recommended, which is probably the more realistic thing you would need, is the same OS's, 10, 8.1 or 7 64-bit version, but they want you this time to instead to have an i7 4770, which I think 4770 means 4.7 gigabits per second with all its different cores added up, or an AMD Ryzen 5 1600X or better. They want you to have twice as much RAM, 16 gigabytes of RAM. Honestly, I think 32 gigabytes of RAM is getting to be the right way to build a computer, or higher. Like, 64 is kind of ridiculous, but it's not insane. Mostly, there's a delicate balance on how fast your RAM is going to be versus how much you want to get. On my PC setup, I feel like I probably have a little bit too much RAM, and I could have done with a little bit faster, but in most cases it probably wouldn't have changed anything at all. And the same 40 gigabytes free hard drive space, so there's no bigger textures to download, or at least not in the recommended settings. And then they want you to have a NVIDIA GTX 1060 6 gigabyte versus an AMD RX 480 8 gigabyte, which that's where the big jump is. If you want good graphics in this game, you need at the minimum the most modern generation of video cards. And that's less than what I have, because I only have a 970. So a 1060, while it is one step below what I have, or normally would be, considering my 970 has like some false advertisement in it, as far as how fast the RAM is on the video card. It's the next generation. And because of that false advertising, I am planning eventually to get like a 1080 or a 1080 Ti or a Titan. I'm trying to wait till the next generation, so maybe I could get 1170 and 1180. I really only bought my video card a year ago, and it should have lasted longer than it is going to. And that's, again, down to the false advertising.
For the crusade!
The Evil Within is due out October 13th. I heard that they're advertising the game by sending like a stuffed black cat and broken mirrors to the famous video game reviewer people.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Join or die.
I don't know. Like, I never got around to playing Evil Within 1, so I think I'd want to play the first one before I play the second one. It almost certainly will show up in some Halloween month some year, but maybe not next year. So, yeah. Maybe the year from that, I'll do Evil Within 1. Here's an interesting story. I kind of have an interesting story about this. There was this game called BMX space XXX, and the way it was advertised on the cover didn't particularly explain itself as well as you might think, and so I've actually accidentally bought this game, and I'm sure everybody is going to go, sure, accidentally, to me, but I really accidentally bought this game thinking it was just a cheap on-sale game at a GameStop when I was over 18, but not by much. thinking it was just a cheap BMX game. And then I got it home and I'm like, oh, there's video of strippers in this game, and it's kind of a bad BMX game on top of that. It's mediocre at best. And yeah, so the story, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is apparently it is, as the story goes, Acclaim executives producer Sean Rosen was the one who pitched the idea of a BMX game to his employer. Eventually he brought the development studio Z Access on board and was able to welcome Dave Mira Freestyle BMX into the world in 2000. So they had made this previous game that didn't have videos of strippers, a real video of strippers, although it wasn't real strippers either. It was a carefully calculated photo video shoot to be as softcore as possible. Down the line, Acclaim was toying with the idea of creating an M-rated game that honors the same kind of humor as the Jackass series. Okay, that makes sense. Acclaim was in dire straits. They really needed the game to do well. Marketing coordinator Zach Smith told Motherboard. I think that was the main driver behind the decision to put nudity into the game. This is something the game's gonna get a lot of PR, good or bad, no matter what we do. So clearly it was just a blatant PR move. The publisher believed that pushing the envelope would be a foolproof way to stand out in the oversaturated extreme sports genre of video games. Arguably, that's true, but it didn't really work because, like I said, I ended up buying this game because it was on clearance at a used game store, and I didn't know anything about it. So it didn't get any real advertising. It wasn't something like Postal or any of those other games that really pushed the envelope to try to sell themselves. I'll hold on to that card. While in that state of mind, one of the employers made a mid-meeting joke about putting strippers in a BMX game, and the seed of BMX XXX was planted. And it's, by the way, it's only female strippers, in case anybody's looking for guys out there. I don't believe there was anything for like that appeal. Let's see. The game itself featured, I'm basically reading the whole article, it featured both digital and live action nudity and made a show of speckling each level with distinctly M-rated characters and situations. According to Motherboard, Dave Mira would eventually pull out of the project for the sake of his personal brand and would later go on to sue Acclaim for breach of contract over the game's borderline pornographic themes. That gets right down to how do you define pornography, because arguably it was more than just borderline pornographic. It was downright directly pornographic, just very, very softcore pornographic. One of the things, there is a common misconception in the game industry itself that if an independent developer makes a game, then it's their idea. They stand behind it. They believe in all the content. They're making it for themselves, says the lead designer Tin Guerrero. No, we were paid by Acclaim to make BMX XXX. As much as people think that the people at ZXs were crazy for coming up with the idea, we were contracted to make the idea. As strange as the tale may be, the full story. Motherboard. Yeah, I don't think we need to read the whole article there. So it's Z-Axis trying to distance themselves from that game. So let's do a little research here. This is kind of one of those retrospective let's see. I can't look up Z-axis unless I type in games.
Yeah, beat it.
Let's see. And even if I type in Z-axis companies, it still doesn't quite pull up the right people because there's too many people called under the name of Z-axis. Let's do this.
Guide me.
Z-axis is now known by the name Underground Development, a video game developer started in 1994 and bought by Activision in 2002. Let's see, they made X-Men the official game, Aggressive Inline. I'm gonna have to zoom my web page. So X-Men the official game in 2006, and then wow, Giant Bomb's website puts these in some odd orders. I guess it's retroactively. And then when I say view all of them, that makes it even worse. It made a game called Three Lions, which I think is a soccer game. In 1998, Fox Sports Challenge, Alexa Lawless International Soccer, Thrasher presents Skate and Destroy, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX in 2000, and I guess that was the only one they were really big on. Freestyle Motocross, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX Maximum Remix, Dave Mirra Freestyle Big BMX 2, Aggressive Inline, and then BMX XXX. And then X-Men the official game in 2006, and so apparently they've not done anything since 2006. I'm surprised 2002 is even there. Much like the Man game, BMX, well, I don't think you can get the Man game anymore because it had underage people in it. BMX XXX is a product of 2002 running on like an Xbox at the best. You could certainly go and look up like videos and images of it. There's some silly stupidity. You've probably even seen some of the pictures if you've seen like topless CG animated girl on a bike. That's probably it. The videos were censored, I believe, in at least one country. So they had like black bars in it, or they were in t-shirts in the live action part. The live action parts are also incredibly short. Like, there's literally better pornography out there in every sense of the word. And even probably when it came out, it was probably not a smart move. It didn't sell their game. It didn't make it stand out. Being a good game would have given it some nostalgia and some help to stand out. But honestly, when a market is saturated, you just can't get around it. You just can't get around oversaturation in any market. You just needed to make something different. Like, they would have been probably better off simply making a porno game without the BMX part. That would have given them more room on the DVDs to simply have just had like 2.5 hours plus, maybe 10 hours even, of real live action porno. And clearly, this is an example of nobody really caring about the project. Like, if somebody's making a suggestion like that, just on a joke, and it's taken seriously and done, that's not good. Here's another one of those old games that I probably shouldn't mention, but apparently there's an old Blade Runner game made by Westwood in the 90s and since there is a new Blade Runner movie coming out that probably won't be that good, it'll be just like the Star Wars remakes, I imagine. Apparently you can get it from Good Old Games, but it's not available on Steam. That kind of sucks. Eventually, once I just have everything worth having on Steam, I guess I am gonna move myself over to Good Old Games and just be like, let's play these old games. I do have some love for them.
Well played.
Let's see. Here's the Game Sutra survey. 28% of fans in the West think esports belong in the Olympics. That number seems low, but whatever. And like, I imagine with the big push of the Olympics in Japan, that Olympics will probably have some esports elements.
Well played.
But I also wouldn't be surprised. Let's go and squelch this character. I wouldn't be surprised if the next Olympics after that one doesn't have any. And honestly, the Olympics always struggle with getting people to watch things. Like, getting people to actually be interested to watch the Olympics is difficult. And they're just going to continuously do that. They're playing to a very broad audience, and there's nothing that has massive appeal. Playing soccer, for instance, in the Olympics will be very popular for most of the world and completely unpopular in the United States. Playing American football in the Olympics will be rather popular, or at least moderately popular. It probably wouldn't even be that popular in the United States, but not very interesting for other people.
It's time for a little blood.
Around the world. And when you get to specifically esport games, it's hard to follow, it's hard to know. I don't think if I was at the Olympics playing Hearthstone that people who've never played Hearthstone are really going to want to watch it. And even people who have played Hearthstone would want to watch it, even if I was the best Hearthstone player ever. Speaking of Hearthstone, Twitch Prime members are going to get a free golden Hearthstone pack, classic pack. It's going to contain 6 golden cards from the classic set, which, okay, so go get Twitch Prime and sign it up into your Amazon Prime, get your Twitch Prime, and get those golden cards. Those golden cards will help you get dust, and if you turn them into dust, otherwise it will help you help you get more golden cards, I suppose. I would much prefer, and I was hoping before I read this article, that a golden classic set pack was going to be 5 legendary cards. But it's not. So you may very well end up with 4 common goldens and 1 rare golden. Or just 5 common goldens might even be a possibility. Which wouldn't really even get you that much dust. So
You have better.
here, so yeah, keep that. It's worth getting if you already have Amazon Prime. I think for a lot of people having Amazon Prime makes sense. Anyways, so so yeah, integrate that. Amazon Prime hasn't given you a lot of rewards, but it's fine. It's fine by me, I suppose. I think I have like a free sub that I could be subbing to somebody on Twitch, and I don't even bother to do it each month. Interesting. Like I should go use my free sub to advertise my own YouTube channel on somebody. It's like every month, but whatever. That would be kind of lame. Apparently Valve looks at all of its characters under shades of grayscale for saturation and things like that. This is one of those articles written by developers for developers, but the picture is interesting. Yeah, and that is one way, certainly when you're animating things and coloring things, is that you'll put different filters, you'll turn off certain color channels so you see what it looks like black and white, to see if you're just putting too much of one color in a character. So you wouldn't want it all to be a big block of black or a big block of white, even if it is multiple shades of a dark color. That the human eye has 2 parts, and one part of the human eyeball is designed around seeing just contrast, brightness and darkness, and so you want to try to appeal to that also. Let's see. Bethesda came out and said, quote, "When it comes to Nazis, you can put us down in the against column." I mean, this is really ridiculous. Like, no duh. Bethesda, makers of Wolfenstein, is getting asked this really stupid question there. That being said, it is also worth pointing out that the Nazis in Wolfenstein are not really Nazis. They are fictional characters doing fictional things. And let's see. Let's see if I can see this picture that the tweet. Okay, so they tweeted out, "Make America Nazi-free again, hashtag no more Nazis, hashtag Wolf2, and then pics Twitter. And then somebody said 50 Shades of Pomo, which I don't even know what that means. But it's probably means something along the lines of virtue signaling. And then some below that says, "Wow, what a clever marketing trick, tapping into hysterical leftist power fantasies. So subtly political. Wow, go." Like, honestly, they should have stayed out of this more. I mean, they're making this game, and
It's time for a little blood.
and they just need to focus on their game. I doubt it's really going to backfire too much, but also, I don't think it's going to help them anymore. It's just going to make them look lame. And again, I feel like it's very important to realize that the only Nazis that exist are either very old or completely dead by now. That's it. Like, Nazis existed as a political movement in World War II. They were defeated. They're gone. There are neo-Nazis out there that are not worth people wasting their time on or worrying about, and that's kind of it. So, yeah, stupid political move. Bad, not great PR there. Here's an advertisement by PC Gamer for Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. Apparently, power can be purchased using influence. I don't know if this is real money though. No, I don't think it is real money. I think you get influence by completing certain actions, and then if you gain influence you can hire people to fight on your behalf. But this is clearly an advertisement because Bannerlord, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord doesn't even have a launch date revealed yet. And their viral marketing and advertisements that look like it, like articles, are awful. Here's an interesting story about what happens to your Steam collection after you die. I imagine not much. According to the subscriber agreement, Steam accounts are strictly personal and may not be sold or transferred to others unless specifically permitted by Valve. And so, yeah, when you die, your Steam account does not get transferred over to any heirs. That being said, the easiest way to get around that is simply to have your Steam account password written down somewhere, and then you can people can just continuously log into it. And I imagine that's what we're eventually going to get down to anyways, is just these multi-generational email accounts, multi-generational Steam accounts. And frankly, that's the right thing to do, because you're just not going to convince people to not share accounts. It's like the Netflix sharing account thing. By the way, Netflix is raising its price, so that kind of sucks. I actually spent most of last night, early morning, watching a show on Netflix called The Good Place. I actually very much enjoyed it. It's this woman who accidentally ends up in heaven, where she doesn't belong, and then she's trying to be a better person to deserve and to stay in heaven. And that one really flew by me. It's season 2 is like airing right now, and you can watch all of season 1 on Netflix in the United States at least. So here's an article about that game, A Hat Time. It is a Nintendo 64E platformer throwback. So I do want to play that game. I think I'm going to put that in my wish list. Wish list slowly getting fulfilled, but not really very quickly. Here's a review, I think, for an old game called Zing the Land Beyond. It doesn't look incredibly old. When did this game come out, though? One of these websites that has two pages per article, so you see twice as many ads. to get to a link. There doesn't seem like there is a link anywhere. Well, where do I find this game? Let's go to the game page. There it is. See, PC, PlayStation 4. Oh, this game is brand new. Interesting. That's rather odd that there's a game that just came out and like I didn't even hear about it. This is part of the problem of the old media. I mean, I know I'm phrasing that awkwardly and biasedly, but I follow a lot of video game reviews, a lot more than I'd prefer to, because I frankly don't like half of them. But there's been no mention of this game. There's no mention of so many games. Total Biscuit was one of the few people that actually would cover like new releases, and even they have started to filter that quite a bit. And limit it down to just things they think are interesting. There's a lot of hidden gems, I imagine, that are just getting ignored. Speaking of not hidden gems, though, it turns out that I own at least 2 of those 173 games that were fake games on Steam. And one of them I got for free, but one of them I paid for. And so, as I've finished the Thanksgiving recording games that I got free recording month, and filled that up, I'm going to record one more of the games that I didn't actually get free that was a fake game, and try to talk about that a little bit more, and talk about my frustration of now having paid for a game that's going to be complete garbage, and I know it is, before I even have launched it. For November, also, I have just eliminated the 7 o'clock time slot, and I think that's where we're going to be going forward. So I've had already eliminated the, I believe, 2 o'clock time slot for kids games, and maybe that will come back if we have time, but I think now it's just going to be 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. And 3 o'clock will be kids games and point-and-click adventures. 4 o'clock will be small independent games and A-style games. And then 5 o'clock are AA games and AAA games, kind of mixed together. And then 6 o'clock is Hearthstone. And at Hearthstone, we are done. So that means if there is any mature rated games or anything like that, that are late night style games, they're still going to happen before what is effectively my talk show blog series of 6 o'clock. So everything's moving a little bit earlier, and there's less of it. Also, I'm focusing on 30-minute recordings on everything. Hopefully that works for people, and more people want to watch. Inherently, anything I do doesn't really change anything, because it's all the YouTube algorithm. It's literally, these videos are not getting put in front of people and that want to watch the videos, either because I'm making bad quality videos or simply it's just not getting promoted. So most of my videos are getting 10 views after a month, and that's it. That being said, income is not backsliding ridiculously. The ad apocalypse and the family friendly advertising things really didn't ruin my channel. And while I do want to appeal maybe in 1 or 2 of the videos that I put into the playlist of being labeled not friendly for most advertisers, I'm still not sure what the line is. The word most is the weird part there. It's like most advertisers probably would be fine with all of my content. Some advertisers wouldn't. How am I supposed to make that decision? Shouldn't you give me some better guidelines here? Like, at the end of the day, I just, even things like Honey Pop, where I would probably agree with it. If I could request manual reviews, I would, just to see how this goes. So the game Stories Untold, which looks a lot like Stranger Things in its logo, is on Steam now and on sale. Clearly it's trying to... that was a stupid way to do that, but whatever. Clearly it's trying to make some sales off the back of Stranger Things in the cell phone Stranger Things game. But also I think it might be a decent game. Let's see, here's a game called One Shot, a bizarre adventure game full of fourth wall breaking moments. Let's see, it's a metaphysical puzzle game. It looks like it's got a low resolution animation. I wouldn't call it as bad as an RPG Maker type resolution, but so let's see, where is this game? Where is it available? Where can you play it? Is it out? This is just another PC game advertisement, isn't it? Yes, it is. I'm sure it is. Like, I'm not sure PC Gamer covers any games without getting paid first. Like, they're probably one of the most corrupt video game reporters out there. They just have that name. PC Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, Eurogamer are all owned by the same people. Last time I checked. And it's like one corporation that owns everything, yet pretends like it doesn't. Wow, I still haven't gotten all the shaming cards. And I've still got some news. So, yeah, I don't think I'd bother with One Shot, personally. Let's see, Senran Kagura, Peach Beach Splash. Adds Valkyrie Drive, Bihikuni DLC characters and a PlayStation VR mode. So that game when it comes out in the West, it's going to be an interesting one to see how well it does. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't do that well. I shouldn't have continued this. Actually, I should have broken this up to a third recording because we still have a lot of news. I don't know how to really contextualize this story. So there's a Riot developer who has been either asked to leave the company or told to leave the company after he had an angry outburst on Discord over a streamer named Tyler1. He predicted Tyler1 will die of a coke overdose or cancer from all the steroids. I mean, just apparently this guy has a lot of permabans. He's done a lot of troll things. Theoretically, if you've been permabanned and people know that it's you and you've been permabanned, all of his accounts instantly should be banned. And like, the thing about being permabanned is you're not allowed to come back and make a new account. Maybe the Valve account control bans have some way of thinking that that's not the case. But in most services, if you're asked to leave, if you're told you're not allowed here anymore, you're not allowed here anymore. If you're kicked out of a bar, you can't put on a different hat and a fake mustache and get back in the bar. Or you can't come the next day and say, well, I'll pay and make a different account. It doesn't work that way. So I think inherently this guy, this Riot developer, could have simply saved himself some frustration and saved his job by simply followed that guy's streams, and as soon as an account was made, or anything from his IP address was made, or anything even close to his IP address was made, they should block him. Like, it isn't particularly easy for a streamer to use a VPN or something to hide their IP address, so it should be rather easy enough. And if their game is programmed right, I bet that you could probably put a cookie on their computer that just that identified that computer over and over again as one to be banned. So he might get in one game for 5 minutes and just get banned there. And that's the way you solve somebody who's consistently breaking the rules. What you don't do is go on Discord and rant about them. And I mean, it's just highly unprofessional, and I have to, I guess, applaud Riot for doing the right thing. Maybe it was extremely, maybe it was a little extreme to fire the guy, but honestly, no, it's not. Like, I've always felt that people should get fired a lot faster than they do. A lot of jobs give this is your third warning, fifth warning, final warning, second final warning, things like that. I think some of that probably is just out of an effort to avoid paying unemployment, which kind of never happens anyways, unless they're doing something really, really bad. Attendance is kind of the only way that you can convince people, convince unemployment insurance not to pay out. At least that's what I've seen in my experience. But yeah, here you have a guy that is making the company look bad. He's speaking probably to the public when he shouldn't be. Again, it gets right back to what I was saying earlier about how there should be one PR team controlling the message, and only the PR team controlling the message, and none of the other developers and nobody else in the company should be allowed to say anything. Honestly, it should be like day one of your orientation. You are not allowed to tell people you work here in a public manner. You're not allowed to speak to the public, and you're not allowed to act on our behalf in any way. Our PR department controls all of that with a tight leash. Should be the stance of every company everywhere. I mean, imagine all the people that worked at McDonald's if they were getting on chat things and saying, yeah, McDonald's has allowed me to speak for it, and I'm gonna say all this crazy stuff. People wouldn't even believe it. Too much power, too much control being given to people that should just be doing their job.
Wow.
And oddly, I imagine even that story is going to get twisted to some other perspective. Although I'm not even sure how that would happen, but Well, you know how that story's going to get twisted, I guess. What somebody's going to say is that the toxic video game community forced this guy into leaving his job or getting fired because they started some kind of harassment campaign, whether it's true or not, whether any messages whatsoever were even sent. And it's the toxic video game community and the fans of that streamer that are at fault because this guy went on a rant against the streamer. I imagine something along that lines is how you just twist that to push whatever agenda you're trying to push. Here's a story that kind of doesn't matter yet. It's a Eurogamer story where somebody says, I'm a little worried about Ni no Kuni 2. Well, here's an idea. How about I just close this page and wait until the game is actually out and I can see some reviews of people who played the final product. Like, I don't need to worry about a game that's unfinished. Let's see. We haven't even, until this point, we haven't even gotten to games just being announced. Like, all the news stories have been about something else. Fridays really are the day, I suppose. They are going to be the day where it's just going to go on forever. So there's a game called Gintama Rumble launching January 18th in Japan. I believe it is a fighting game. Let me see if I can read some more details. After building up a gauge, you trigger the awakening, during which you can kick about enemies. So I'm not even 100% certain that this is a fighting game and isn't more along the lines of something like a Dynasty Warriors game, which would be more of an action game. The image I'm seeing implies to me that it is like a Dragon Ball Z Budokai game. But maybe it's not. It's coming out for the PlayStation 4 and the Vita. 16 song selection based on an anime. Alright, there we go. That's good enough information for that. Something weird with my chat. Like, it just updated with a lot of chat things. I don't know if somebody's just been... We have a Wyatt on the chat says, hey, can I add you? You will get 80 gold if you friendly battle me. And then finally Nightbot kicked in and read chat, please. Wyatt W, I will allow you to add, but I am going to point out you, as far as how I saw the chat, have put 1, 2, 3, 4 things on the chat in less than 1 minute as I was talking about something else and trying to play a game. So you need to take a step back, take a breath, realize that it takes me a little bit of time. If you want to friend me, tell me first of all what server you're on. Are you on the United States server, the Americas server, or the European server, or the Asian server? Click this add button, type in Rydo, R-Y-D-O, number 1423, and anybody can do that, and I will accept any friend requests whatsoever. And I'm more than willing to play you. But, yeah. You're on North America. Okay. Well, I need to break up this recording for the stream, and then I'll switch over to the North America, and we'll see. We'll play. That's it for this recording. Everybody else watching live, stay tuned. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream. We've got a very eager new fan that wants to play us, so I need to switch back to the Americas server. He's got a challenger friend, so we can get 80 gold for that, and then we'll play him maybe once or twice, and however many times he wants to play within reason. And then I've got just a little bit to do on... Oh. What? How did I lose the last ranked game played due to a disconnect? I didn't disconnect. Hearthstone be crazy. Hearthstone be crazy. So, we're waiting for his friend request to come in. For Wyatt's friend request to come in. I imagine after we play Wyatt, assuming he can type in my RYDO, no space, number sign, 1423. Once he types that in, there he is, I assume. And so send me whatever challenge you want to play me on. Accept. We'll play with our druid helper. He's a standard, he sent me a standard challenge, so that might mean he's a little new. It might mean he doesn't have any wild cards. The one thing about Wyatt posting so much, however, it did finally kick in Nightbot to start working. Nightbot only works if there is a lot of, I think, 2 posts by one person that's not me. In a weird way. I don't know how it exactly is triggering its things. But it seems to have a limiting factor where everybody in the chat up to this point has just come in to say, hi, but I don't have any time because it's Friday. And I'm like, yeah, that was pretty much how this was going to go on every Friday.
Extraordinary.
Is people don't have time on Friday, they don't have time on Saturday, and they don't have time on Sunday. However, on top of that, that also means Fridays are the longest possible streams in the week, more than likely, because that is the one day in which I have to get all the quests done. I only have to get 2 out of 3 of the quests done on Monday or Wednesday. This Druid Helper deck is built around the concept of allowing the player, the opponent, to draw more cards and do things quickly, give them more mana crystals. It works moderately well by when you have the legendary card with the panda. However, it can be overpowering, and it can mill, as it just did, and destroy the opponent's cards, and actually has a odd win ratio because of that. Let's see. Whenever one of your minions dies, draw a card. So, as I've understood it, there's a amount of XP you get for destroying minions, and an amount of XP you get for doing damage to the face. But you get more XP if you win, and I think there's a limiting factor too. I don't think you can go more than 1 full level and up to the second
Jade serpent
level.
guide you.
Side effects? No. Trust me.
Let's see.
More training?
And in the turn. I definitely understand why it's eagerness to play somebody too. It is really, really hard. Hearthstone is not convincing people to friend other people and continue playing. So that even though it was probably just about a month since I last cleaned out somebody who hasn't played for more than a month, you can see that there's still a couple of people who haven't even been on battle.net at all for a month, and there's a lot of people that haven't played for like a week or so. And the way it's trying to market itself, and let's see. Gain 2 mana crystals to draw 3 cards. I'll draw 3 cards. And then I'll summon a Jade. Oddly, this is kind of a Jade Golem deck too. And whenever I cast a spell, it puts it in his hand, so now he can draw 3 cards. Or gain 2 mana crystals. And that's the point, is this is supposed to be a deck that helps the opponent win and get experience. Whereas my druid, I believe, on the America's account is already at level 60 and doesn't really need anything besides ranked wins to be a golden version of him, and he's probably not too far from even getting that done. That's interesting. Oh, I guess he didn't cast a spell to get Wind Fury. He adapted. Deal 3 damage to a minion. Let's see. Now, this card again. Get a Jade Golem in there. Now, every time he draws a card, this one's going to gain +1/+1, which in a deck designed around helping somebody or forcing somebody to draw cards can cause this to be as well used as this card probably can be. That was interesting. The dialogue went over the card but under the mana crystal.
So many
See it?
possibilities.
See the text, the number there.
Get it out! Get it out!
Their layering, I think, is wrong. I would think the text should go over everything, or it should go below everything. And clearly, the one language it should work in is English, because they're programming this in English by default. To get back to the news, more updates to Mercy are coming for Overwatch. I don't play Overwatch, so I don't really know. But let's see if we can read this. Mercy's Valkyrie ability no longer resets and lowers Resurrection's cooldown. Previously, when Valkyrie used Mercy's Resurrection, cooldown was reduced by 30 seconds to 10 seconds, allowing her to resurrect teammates in quick succession. However, now the cooldown remains the same, and instead Valkyrie now doubles Resurrection's range.
Mind if I roll knee?
There we go. this
I want
and
answers.
this in the turn. So yeah, this change to Mercy is being tested right now, so it might not even be implemented exactly as I said. Again, I don't play Overwatch. But let's see. We already talked about Microsoft changing the Forza 7 VIP things and making them slightly more friendly. But, so I don't need to talk about that again. I recently covered a game called Grid that Codemasters made and is no longer available for purchase. And it turns out that they got rid of Grid and then they made a game called Grid Autosports. So it's a completely different game. It's just almost exactly the same name. So, and clearly they did it so that you couldn't ever Google just Grid as a game. I really don't understand Codemasters' business plan because they took off most of their old games from being available for purchase, at least on Steam, so that people would buy the new versions, and that makes very little sense. That's a little insanity. Like, McDonald's doesn't stop selling hamburgers, so you buy tacos instead, or salads instead. Let's see. Jade. This.
I don't have enough map.
And we'll shuffle this.
For the wild.
Let's go ahead and get rid of this card. Not really trying to win here, but
Extraordinary.
eventually I might. Unity 2017.2 has brought Autodesk integration into its abilities, which that is probably rather interesting. Now, this doesn't... Autodesk is a 3D drafting software, mostly 3D modeling software.
The truth is in here.
So now you could make a 3D model of, say, a space vehicle in a software you might be a little bit more familiar with versus instead having to use whatever Unity was using before, whether it was an internal system. Let's see. So it's integrating 3ds Max and Maya into the engine. So the thing about these 3D softwares is that they do take a lot of training to figure out how to use them. There's a lot of buttons, a lot of things you can do. You can do very amazing things too, but this probably means, as I'm watching a trailer of them making a basically F-Zero style flying ship, this probably means we're gonna see better work in Unity games for the people that are using Unity to make good games. Sadly, there's still going to be a lot of bad games just using the Unity asset store to I guess I'm gonna just go ahead and cancel this, and we'll just sit here for a couple of minutes and see if Wyatt wants to play me again or not, or if he was just interested in getting the 80 gold. Either way, is fine with me. Or if he'll say something in the chat. And then I think we'll move over to the Asian servers and see how much work we can get done there. I've hit a point where I'm hitting articles that I've already talked about, so as I'm closing pages here, I might be done with news. Here's an article about the development of Conan Exiles: The Frozen North. It kind of ruins the way Conan Exiles was selling itself as this game where you're in this kind of Conan the Barbarian things. Wyatt says, how do you get gold? Well, I get gold here for by doing the daily quests that I've already done, and that's kind of all you can do to get gold is doing quests, or you get 10 gold for every 3 victories you do in standard play, ranked play, or casual play. And I guess if you do an arena run, you can get gold if you win 12 victories there. That's how you get gold like that. Now, on the other hand, if you want to get the heroes to be gold, because there's a lot of different things called gold here, you have to get 500 ranked wins, and you can see the druid actually needs quite a bit of ranked wins to get to gold, but that's not really that interesting. It just makes the border around your character gold and then gives it slightly different art. And see, what can you help me with an arena run? Nope, that's not how arena works. You must be rather new to Hearthstone or the arena. Arena puts you with random people. There's no way for me to say challenge somebody and challenge them to arena run. I can help anybody if they need to get victories. I can help people in a tavern brawl to some extent, but arena run is not for friends, so you can't do anything. The only thing I can tell you is there is this app you can get called Hearth Arena that will tell you what the best weighted cards are for an arena run. So if you're willing to go install that app and sort of cheat, but everybody does it, you can do that. But that's kind of all I can say. I need 700 gold for the DLC so I can do Zoo. So you need 700 gold to purchase either, I imagine, One Night in Karazhan. Well, the trick there is you just gotta trade out your daily quests. There's an X here. Let me just go over and switch over to the Asian account. Anyways, that's where I'm going. Every day, log in and click the X if it's below 60. That will give you more difficult daily quests to do, but it will give you more gold. And then you've got to do whatever the daily quests are. So here's the daily quest. I've got one for 40, one for 40, and one for 100. You don't get this 100 very often, so don't expect that to happen. Normally, you have an X here that you can click once a day to trade a 40 for a 60. If you need to save up for 700 gold, you're just going to have to... It's going to take 3 or 4 weeks of... well, not 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to take a couple of weeks at most of you coming in every 3 days or coming in every day and doing the daily quest and earning gold. That's the only way you can earn gold. If you don't want to do that, then the that's new. You can come over here and you can purchase with real world money One Night in Karazhan, which is the only DLC that's even available right now. The other DLC that is from Knights of the Frozen Throne is free. But it is also unplayable and unbeatable by new players, because if you come over here to Knights of the Frozen Throne, and this character that is here requires you to damage him with a lot of weapons, and so you practically need every weapon that the warrior has to do that. So Karazhan is the only one you can do, and it's just gonna, you just have to earn gold this way if you don't want to pay, if you pay real money, or pay real money if you don't want to wait. I would recommend not paying real money. Maybe do the welcome bundle for $5, but I don't even think so. Wyatt says, you tell me what to play in my arena. And then, sorry, there's no way that's gonna happen. That is, first of all, I can't see your arena when you're picking, as far as I know. I don't think I could even spectate people during that time. And so you're asking me to pick out of 90 cards what to pick. I'm not even an expert enough to do that. If you want somebody to help you install the Hearth Arena app, it's HEARTH and then Arena. Install that app. It will tell you what to do, and it will help you. That's the only real help I can do as far as arena things. And in all honesty, as a new player, you're going to probably not make that much gold anyways. Don't be surprised if you pay 150 gold to start an arena run and you barely get 100 back, because that's about right. You need to get 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 victories before you're seeing some major return. Arenas are good for new players so they can learn new cards. They're not good for new players to get gold. There's literally kind of nothing good to get gold. It's just because Hearthstone is greedy and Blizzard's greedy. It's just going to take time. So let's go ahead and type in new and mark these cards I just got. We got a golden. On the Asia account, I'm keeping all the golden cards. On the European account, I'm turning gold into dust and getting more casual cards. So I'm doing an A/B test here to see if see which is the better way to do when you're starting a new account, since the Asian and European accounts are both not very both only like a month and a half old. Let's play a couple warrior things here, and I'm already at rank 20, so there's no real reason to even play on ranked. So I'm gonna, because I'm never gonna get very high on ranked on my new accounts. If I'm gonna get anywhere high, it's gonna be on the the Americas account. So we'll play casually. We need 2 victories. Well, if you, Wyatt's saying he managed to beat the Knights of the Frozen Throne. Wow. Okay, well, congratulations on that. You found a way to have enough weapons to get through all of that. So it's just going to be a matter of time, just a matter of patience. I'm seeing a reoccurring theme here. If I'm to just psychoanalyze somebody via their chat, that Wyatt is not a patient person and needs to work on that. Moving on with the news. Let's see. Yeah. There's going to be a Zelda Breath of the Wild Climb Anywhere feature in Conan Exiles. Conan Exiles looks like it might be the great predecessor to a sequel. Like, if they didn't put it in early access, if they had simply instead finished the game, then put it out, I think it would be this amazing thing that would catch people's attention if they put it out at the right time and it's not too similar to several other games that are like Rust. But the fact that they're just slowly releasing updates to a beta game, they've killed all the hype for it. Let's see, that's another story we've already talked about.
Reporting for duty.
There's a sequel to the game Q.U.B.E, so Cube. So Cube 2 is let's see. It's gonna launch for Xbox One, PS4, and PC in early 2018, according to this. So I guess maybe I should play the first one. I think I own that game. Let's see. Here's another system requirements game. Let me just quickly look over that and see if there's anything majorly odd about the system requirements for Assassin's Creed Origins. No, it's almost exactly the same system requirements. I wouldn't be surprised if there actually is just a higher up engine reason that the system requirements are staying about the same. But yeah, if anything, it seems like Assassin's Creed Origins might require slightly, yeah, it does. It requires slightly less graphic fidelity than the Enemy Within 2, which I really don't know where they're trying to go with Assassin's Creed, because they're trying to have this education mode and they're turning it into an RPG. Assassin's Creed Origins really is getting to the point of being too random and too different, and just it's a little rudderless, to use a phrase. They don't particularly seem to have a clear, concise idea about what they want that game to be. A small studio that made a game called Samorost, S-A-M-O-R-O-S-T, has a new game that they've set a trailer out called Chuckle, C-H-U-C-H-E-L. It looks cartoony and silly and weird. We'll probably need more information before you could really make any kind of determination on what kind of game it is or if it's going to be any good. Chuckle looks and plays like a point-and-click adventure game. Yeah, that's what I figured. This company is kind of known for making oddly looking point-and-click adventure games, which might work, might not. Some of the Steam companies are kind of falling into niches where our first game was like this, therefore our second game is going to look like this. Therefore all our games going forward are going to look the same. Street Fighter V will finally get an arcade mode in 2018, apparently. So there's going to be an arcade edition. Does that mean there will actually be a arcade game arcade cabinet in an actual arcade, or is arcade mode just shorthand for something that I'm not getting? It seems like, if I was looking at it right, Street Fighter V includes also Street Fighter 2 and Alpha and 3 and 4, or something like that. So,
Not a valid target.
let's see. So, if that is true, and buying Street Fighter V gets you your heart's desires of all the other Street Fighter games, then yeah, that would probably be the perfect time to get into Street Fighter. All Season 1, 2, and Season 1 and 2 characters. So Street Fighter V Arcade Edition has an arcade mode, the gallery extra battle, new V-triggers, new visuals. Maybe those are just art galleries of the previous games, though. That might be the case. Well, didn't really succeed there. All Street Fighter V owners, Vanilla and Arcade Edition, will be playing the same pool, PS4 and PC crossplay continuing. I feel like the second I got into a Street Fighter or an arcade fighting game, I'm gonna immediately want like $150 fighting stick. And I never even played arcade fighting games, so I'm literally gonna want a fighting stick out of a nostalgia for something I never even had. Let's see, it comes out January 16th for $40, and it includes all 28 characters. Maybe there's a story mode that you would get in the vanilla version, but it seems to me like the arcade mode is the improved version. But that's about all I can say there. Spec Ops The Line, Rydo said he would eat broken glass before considering a sequel. Quote, "It was a brutal, painful development." So, okay. Wasn't Spec Ops The Line the one where they used white phosphorus on the civilians? And everyone who worked on it would eat broken glass before making another. Also, it didn't sell. So don't expect for another Spec Ops The Line ever. Or if it does get made, it's going to be made by a completely different group of people. Let's see. Here's several developers talking about how they named their game. Rock Band apparently was a placeholder name. ADR1FT came easily. Obviously because it's a drift with the 1. Lots of people hate the fact that it has a 1 in the name, according to that comment. I don't even know what a drift is. It sounds like a racing game. DayZ was short enough to be an easy mod folder name.
Is someone injured?
The working title for Overcooked was Too Many Cooks, but the Adult Swim Too Many Cooks video torpedoed it. Seventh Guest was originally guest. Justin Heber suggested Seventh Guest, and it took a while for me to like it.
Is someone injured?
80 Days was immediate, and it kept on giving. Let's see. Charge. Go ahead and kill this guy. Cannabalt was what our 6-year-old nephew called catapults in Fat Princess. he was doing a lot of cannonballs and at the pool too. So Closure was taken from Understanding Comics, and here's a picture of a comic. Bomber Knots was somebody misremembering the name of a prototype, but his version sounded a lot better. One person says, come up with a bunch of names, then pick the one that clears legal. That's probably the truth for most of the names. Random name generator fed with words I like. Picked my favorite one. Where's My Water was just add water forever, but the devs couldn't get it trademarked. Overland was 6 months of indecisiveness. Mini Metro was the first name and obviously the right one. And apparently I could read more of these comments, but I have to admit that's kind of boring. I was hoping that would have been more interesting, but it wasn't. So today I learned there are boring reasons why people name their games what they name them. And nothing really amazing out there. Like even some of the most famous names of games are not super interesting. People don't spend a lot of time thinking of names. They hopefully spend more time making the games. Alright, and that puts my pages, my news tabs on my browser done. I've read everything, so let's just switch back to Twitter and see if there's anything interesting here. And then let's see how long we've been going, because I think, unless somebody wants to hop on and say something on the chat, I think we've been going long enough. Yeah, we've got about 8 more minutes, and I've done 3 recordings, which is more than enough. Well, it's about the right amount, actually. There's an article about what Shadow Wars loot boxes are actually selling. As I understood it, they're kind of selling everything. Everything you'd want to ruin the game for yourself. Let's see. Is there anything else on Twitter right now? Daedalic, which is a German point-and-click video game company, was tweeting about starting a Twitch channel, and I jokingly put, how are you going to end every stream on the traditional bad, unhappy ending? And they said they're working on it. That probably needs some explanation, certainly, because Daedalic's games are known for ending on unhappy endings, which kind of sucks. But they've come out and said Germans, that they and Germans in general are incapable of writing a happy ending. And most of those stories definitely have that Grimm's fairy tales, the original Grimm's fairy tales, where bad things happen always and there's no happy endings. Not the Disney style ones. And so I thought that was nice that they responded. I also made a mistake on Downfall and accidentally called it Downwell, and the creators of that game who follow me corrected me. I think I already pointed that out, though. So nothing there. Lots of bots following me on Twitter, retweeting me. I'm not asking them to do that or doing anything to encourage that, but they're doing it anyways. Doesn't really help anything. Twitter's an odd service too. It's much like YouTube. It's like it doesn't get me in front of the eyes of anybody who actually would subscribe and watch videos, it seems. See, I'm about to lose, and I think we're good to lose and call this. There's one article here that says the comedian Ralphie May has died at 45. I don't know if you want to take that as truth or not, though. That really doesn't have anything to do with video games. And there are several very obese, very overweight comedians that it would not be surprising if they died at any point. There's just the human body cannot survive to the ripe old age of 60, 70, or 80 when you are 200 or 300, 400 pounds. I know Boogie on YouTube has had like surgery to lose weight, and he's trying to lose weight, and like that's very good for him because he's certainly going to not be in a good position if he hadn't done that. There is always a risk of being inactive and unhealthy. So yeah, this article about the loot chests on Shadow of War, I don't even really want to talk about it. Like Shadow of War, Middle-earth Shadow of War, it's not a game worth buying as I see it right now. Wait until there's a complete collection. Wait until they're done ripping people off with microtransactions and loot boxes. Wait until they fix it and take all that garbage out. And then, maybe then, but... So, that was good for a stream. A lot of the regulars came in by and said hi and then left. Which is nice. Thanks for doing that. That does help me get new people, and we did have one new person who might be a regular in the future come in and play us, and he helped us get 80 gold. So for the Asian account, I'm gonna just get these all done off screen. This really won't take too long. And then I believe there's one more thing I have to do on the European account, and that won't take that long. That's gonna be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.